and we are recording episode 10, double digits of the
We
Royal Ramble
made
with
it.
Matt and Rory.
Hello
And
to all our Azerbaijani
yeah,
fans.
all four of you. I think our last video hit like 20 views or something. It's
We're
huge,
making it.
huge.
Praise Azerbaijan. May you be prosperous.
So today Matt wants to talk about Mars.
Yes.
After the historic Blue Origin all-female celebrity astronaut crew last week in their 11-minute space mission.
All right. Yes. There's some BS with that too.
You
We got to talk
think?
about.
I don't
There's
think it
some
actually happened. Okay, hold on. So that capsule landed just perfectly and looks wonderful.
two things. I saw that was sketch. All right. When the capsule was there, when they were walking up, they're walking up to
What? And they
the
opened the door
door.
from the inside
And the door
before.
was already open. They're like peeking out.
Yes.
Oh, not yet, not yet. We're not there yet. So they
Yeah.
shut the door back.
And then he had to
There,
get some special tool to open it.
yes, sketch, man.
Yeah. But
Thing two, that was weird. Did you see the plastic hand?
yeah, it looked like a mannequin sitting in the
That
seat.
was, that was a
But okay,
mannequin, dude.
so two other questions. So on those same topics, right? I've heard a couple of things. Like the capsule doors, due to the way the pressurization works, should never open in. Because if it can't
Yeah.
depressurize, you can't get out of it. It can't be open from the outside. You got to push it in. So
Mm.
like that shouldn't make sense. The other question I have is those are giant like bay windows in this thing.
Mm.
Do you trust that?
How on
No.
earth did
Every
that
other
make it
thing's got a
through?
window like this big that you're looking out of, but this thing's
Mm-hmm.
got bay windows in it.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't think the whole thing actually happened. They weren't doing the live streaming video like they've done from the other
Mm-hmm.
ones. Um, I don't know. I mean, and to call yourself an astronaut because
Yeah,
you
come
rode a
on,
ride for
dude.
we accomplished so much. Really? Are you like an engineer or a flight
For
chief or something,
me,
or what'd you do? What
if
did
you
you
want,
actually do? You were a tourist.
yeah,
You sat down on a road, and the accomplishment you had was not pushing any buttons or doing anything that you
you
shouldn't
sat
do.
you sat in a seat. If you sat in a
Yeah,
seat and you went just on the edge of the atmosphere where you kind of floated a little bit
yeah,
and then you came
yeah.
back down. That's it.
And
You
that's
want to be an astronaut, you go to the moon, which we never
well, there's
have,
but there's some major training,
and
or you're in orbit for a week or
or you
two
go to the
plus.
ISS space
Yeah,
station for like a year, like those other
but you're
dudes did.
but you have a job.
Yeah,
They don't just take tourists up
yeah.
to the space station. You've got a job. You're a scientist. You are
You're
a pilot. You
typically a
are
military service
yeah
member, or like like you said, a scientist, a
yeah.
researcher, right?
So but that's so saying that you rode in this thing for 11 minutes and you're an astronaut now, dude. I've flown as a passenger and coach in a shitload of planes. I'm not a
Yep.
pilot.
Yeah. Facts.
So I
Facts.
mean, we're on that same thing.
I mean,
I'm a
bro,
pilot.
we both taken like emergency egress takeoffs in hot zones,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Your body floats. Are
Oh
we
yeah.
astronauts now? I mean, it does. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
your arms float up, your
I mean,
legs, whatever.
dude, I've flown in Blackhawks. I guess I'm a
See,
Blackhawk pilot. I mean, it's
we're aviators.
it's yeah. I'm an aviator. Yeah, there you go.
We're
But I
aviators.
think the whole thing is just it's PR. It's stupid.
It's a
It's
bunch of
just
hokum.
yeah. If you ever do make it to Epcot, they have a
One day.
ride there that's called Mission to I think it's Mission to Mars, and more or less the whole ride is they put you like you're strapped into a rocket and it's just a giant centrifuge that you're in, and so you feel the
Oh wow.
gravity and it pulls you down where the rocket's taking off and it shakes and stuff and all of that. And when you come out of that, like that centrifuge stops, you feel almost like you're kind of weightless because of the way it stops and whatever, because you're
Mm,
used to having so many G's on you. And it probably only hits like 2 or 3 G's, but it's
mhm.
enough that you feel it. And there's two lines. There's like the intense line and then like the kid line that is not as intense. And it's like a 12-minute ride. So the joke is
Wow.
you can ride this thing and you're going to get the same experience they got, but you're only paying like, $142 to get into Epcot for the day, as opposed
Yes.
to whatever, $100,000 these guys paid to ride,
It's
you know,
all a bunch. It's a PR stunt.
yeah.
It's publicity. It's bunk. It's just a bunk thing.
But that capsule was the cleanest looking thing. I mean, it landed
Yeah, come
absolutely
on.
level. So I mean, it landed in
Yeah.
some desert, just found the flattest spot possible.
Like I hit some rocks on the interstate. My truck looks like it's been through like hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's not gonna travel through space and
yeah,
crash down. I mean, get out of here,
yeah.
dude. So dumb.
So, how did you pick up Mars for today?
I was thinking about the movie Mission to Mars, and I was also listening to Coast to Coast, and they're talking about the face on Mars. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, those are both really cool things. So let's talk about When Mars Attacks, which is a Tim Burton movie. If you've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
seen it,
From like
it's
mid
great.
90s.
Yeah, yeah. So in my Tim Burton level of movies, it's up there. Not a it's a sleeper. Not a lot of people have watched
But
it.
it's kind of got the 50s sci-fi
Yeah.
throwback to it.
That's
Yeah.
why it's so endear. It's got that 1950s like space
Yeah.
blasters and like the metal Dr.
Robot
Freeze looking
Martian things.
like
Yeah.
suits, you know. The Martians look crazy, their brains are all showing and stuff.
Yeah, like a glass case or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like
Yep.
Or Mr. Freeze off Batman.
Yes.
So the whole thing is so interesting and watching just society at first try to like make peace. Oh yeah, aliens are so cool. And then immediately like the aliens come down and they're trying to like meet people for the first time and somebody releases like a dove, like a peace dove, and it flies by the aliens and they don't like it, so they blast the
Yeah.
dove and they just start blasting everybody. I was like, oh no.
So then, okay, so then you said Mission to Mars, which I think was early 2000s. Was that one with Val Kilmer in it or not? Was it Val
I don't
Kilmer?
know. I don't know if I've seen Mission to Mars. I don't know if I've seen that. I've seen Mars Attacks for sure.
Mars Attacks is a comedy. Hold
It,
on.
it is a comedy.
I'm gonna look up IMDb real quick because
Okay.
Mission to Mars. There was a couple of similar movies to Mission to Mars in the early '90s, I think. Not early 2000s. And well, there's a 2017 Mission to Mars. Um, who was all in this one here? Mission to Mars, sci-fi.
Mars in itself is just an interesting thing, right? It's
Yeah,
a it has a colloquial names, you know what I mean? Like the red planet
yeah,
is named after the god of war. And I can't remember if Ares is Greek or Roman. They stole each other. Rome stole
yeah,
their
yeah.
gods.
All, yeah, yeah.
I
Most
mix it up.
definitely.
I think Ares is maybe the Greek, and then Mars I think is the Roman, I think. But it's such an interesting thing.
This one's got Tim Robbins, Gary Sinise, Don Cheadle,
Oh,
and
okay,
this
dang.
what year was 2000? Mission to Mars, and first man mission to Mars meets with catastrophic mysterious disaster reporting identified structure.
Mm,
Rescue mission is launched to investigate tragedy and bring back any survivors. So there's that one, and then there was another. Um, I'm gonna look up just Mars movies because
yeah.
there
What?
were more Mars movies at that same time. There's another one, and they had some cool tech in there. Like this
Mm.
guy, he like the thing that landed and like crashes really hard, and they pull out this little thing and like does an X-ray of the guy, and it shows like his broken bones on the inside, and it's just this thing I can
Oh,
look through,
whoa.
and a lot of stuff. Hold on here.
Another media source outside of movies that I really enjoyed hearing about the planet Mars is the Warhammer 40K universe. I know you don't know a lot about that, but it's called the Grimdark, okay? Humanity 10,000 years into the future, right?
Yeah,
It's all just falling apart. Everyone's like hyper religious and stuff and worships a deity known as the God Emperor and all this stuff, right? Well, Mars was cultivated by humans, right? So they lived on Earth, they called Terra, and they went to Mars.
yeah,
Well, Earth and Mars got into a huge war, but it was a problem because all the interstellar spaceships that were made by the Adaptus Mechanicus. It's the Latin, I don't know,
yeah,
but the machine world, right? They made all the ships and everything. So humanity in Terra worships their god emperor as a deity and purges everyone else because they're heretics, right?
yeah,
But they let Mars worship what they call the machine spirit. They let them worship whatever they want. They have like a peace treaty with Mars. Like, hey, whatever y'all are doing, we're not gonna purge and herit you guys. Y'all are heretics, but not
yeah,
really. But it's so interesting, like that environment, the machine cult on Mars. They study like all these old, like handwritten data scripts and manuscripts because all technology is lost, right?
yeah,
So they don't know how they made like maybe computers and so they don't understand it. so they think it's a machine spirit. They pray to it like, oh, come to life, and then like worship the technology. It's so wild, man. It's so cool. So Mars has a special special place for me
Well,
outside of the conspiracy world
yeah.
in like media, right?
So in 2000, at the same time, you had Red Planet come out.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I think I
And
have
Red
seen that.
Planet was the one with Val Kilmer, Carrie Ann Moss of the Matrix fame,
Mm.
and Tom Sizemore. I guess he was sober long enough to film this one. And it was a critical failure, and it was different. Um, and so, yeah, so, but these were pretty much released the same time. So you had that
Mm.
Mission to Mars and this one. But then there's another one that I forgot all about that has, oh, what is his name? Man, hold
What do you
on.
think? Is it like a modern or is it older movie?
Which one? The one I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
No, it's a comedy. And it
Mm.
is Rocket Man, and not the
Oh, I see.
Rocketeer,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
Rocket
yeah.
Man, where he's like
I've seen Rocket
frozen
Man.
and then thawed out or whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey, that other movie you mentioned though, this is why we're Royal Ramble. We just talk about whatever,
Yeah.
right? We have a loose topic. You know what I mean? The Rocketeer is a great movie.
Did I show you the little thing at Hollywood Studios where the Rocketeer has signed the thing in the ground, but you can see where his blaster things hit the ground and he shot off?
Oh, that's
I
cool.
got a picture of that somewhere. I'll send it to you.
That's cool.
But
That's such a
no,
fun 1950s kind of,
yeah,
retro sci-fi.
you need to watch the movie The Martian. And
Oh yeah, that's what we're
it's
talking
like
about.
the newest one of the whole kind of the Mars
Mm.
genre stuff. Um, but as we talk about all this stuff, like, oh, we're going to try to, get people to go to Mars and whatever else, and that's pretty much they figured out a way to do it, but it's like a multi-year process because they'd land something there that's using the atmosphere to generate fuel to launch it back off of
Yeah.
the planet. And so it's sitting there for 10 years or something before they get there, and it's working its system to use the atmosphere for the chemical reaction to build the fuel to do this, whatever.
Mm.
And so they're there, and the two things are there because one's there for the next mission afterwards, the rocket or whatever, and the other one's ready to go, and more or less they take off and they leave the dude behind. They think he's dead, but
Oof.
it's worth watching. I read the book, then watched the movie, and I mean, when you talk about like we're gonna try and do this, dude, it's not a great
Mm.
place. It's got its own problems. Um, I think Y-Files did a couple of things on because I think there's some pyramids or obelisks or something. There's some things
So
with 90-degree corners that are there.
that's one of the things I wanted to
Um,
talk about. Buzz
yeah, and
Aldrin.
then there's that face which can be I can't remember what
It
the thing's called.
it looks like a face, man.
Yeah, but there's a psychological thing to where you see
Yeah, yeah,
faces
yeah.
and objects you recognize in
It's
clouds and wherever else.
Hold on, I'm gonna look up
Um,
that term. It's a human trait where we
yeah, yeah,
identify
and
patterns, right?
that's part of our survival stuff. So you
Hmm.
notice animals and things like that in the wild because you're looking for those things to identify them. It's a survival thing that's part of human nature. Um,
Let's see what it's called. Hold on. Aphonia, aphonia, Apophenia, apophenia, or patternicity.
yeah, where
I
you,
don't, I don't feel like that's the right word though. Anyway,
but yeah, so and I mean that's what they say part of that thing with the face thing. But once it's once you
dude,
see it, you
it
can't
looks like
unsee
it
it.
though. It just does. It just
Yeah,
looks like a
but and
pyramid type face.
how big is that thing? Right, that's gonna be
Ooh, I don't know.
miles and miles,
Let's see.
and it's almost like the like the Indian mounds you can find in America that are snakes and bears and whatever else that you
Yeah.
can't see on the ground, but then when you're
Okay.
above, you can. But
It
how
says
would
it's
they?
1.2 miles.
Yeah, well, it'd be the same thing with some of the mound things on Earth.
Yeah.
How so? Let's. I mean, and whoever possibly lived in Mars back in the day, right? But the same thing with the Native Americans here. How in the hell did they know that this is going to look like a buffalo from, you know, 4,000 feet above?
Let's see if I can get an image up so we can see it.
Oh, I can pull
There
it
you
up and share it, I think. Hold on, let
go.
me pull it up and share it. You want the face on Mars? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah,
Okay, hold on. Give me a second.
let's look at it. It's strange, right? There's one that's dust covered. I'm zooming out, and then one that's like a clear image. But in today's age, it's hard to tell what's AI, you know what I mean, or cleaned up
Yeah,
or
so
whatever, you know.
this right here, let me see if I can just share this. If it'll let me share this screen or not. I don't want to
Another
do
thing we
that.
may want to share as we're talking is Buzz Aldrin talking about the obelisks.
So,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's
okay.
such a strange thing.
Hold on. It doesn't like me doing that. Give me 1 second. Um,
I think humanity is so ancient and there's a lot of bizarro stuff.
yeah,
It wouldn't be
and
outside of like the book of like reality for me
so
to
the
think
Buzz Aldrin
maybe.
stuff, though, has been kind of debunked, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, that's come up as some stuff that is not.
Has he got old timer mind going on?
No, it's got. What's what I'm looking for? It wasn't. It wasn't true, more or less.
Hmm.
It was taken from some other stuff. And right here, let
Oh,
me.
I see, like piecemeal together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's AI that did it or somebody that edited it all together to make it sound like this other stuff, but let me see if I can do this now. If it's gonna let me share this screen. Yeah, we can.
I mean,
Okay,
1.2
so
miles
here's
is
what it's
so
talking about. This
big.
is the
Yeah.
classic one I knew as a kid, right?
Hmm.
Is this one, and then this like looks like we're here. We've got a, different view, but even so,
That is strange,
it
man.
is strange. And I mean, this one looks like it may have been taken with a different camera or something else, but
Ooh, grab that Reddit one with all three. Down one. There you go.
this one right here.
Yeah. Look at
So,
that.
but it could be okay. This was taken in 1976 and then 2001. So it could have all been time of day, shadow with whatever that gives us
Everything
to it.
else.
Yeah. And gives us this look. Is it creepy? Yeah. I don't,
Strange.
yeah.
That is
Um,
strange.
but what gets me, what is it? The Pyramid Mars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, when, and I don't know if that looks, this looks,
Look at it's there.
that
There
looks
it is.
terrible. That doesn't look right. That,
I think
that
it's
is straight up, this is
space
Pinterest
out.
stuff. Um,
That one from Economic Times, I think, is legit.
this,
Yeah.
like 90-degree corners make me nervous. That's not
They don't have
natural.
they don't yeah, that doesn't happen in
Yeah.
nature. If it does, I mean, 99% of the time that doesn't happen in nature.
But I
You
mean,
know,
even like
humans
this.
are ones that use math to,
Yeah.
build structure and yeah, see, that's strange, man.
I mean, look at these corners. I mean,
That is
there's
strange.
something going on there.
Oh, there's another zoomed out picture of the face on Mars too, right underneath it.
This one.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yes,
That's so
that's
weird.
from the same one from 76 or whatever.
Yeah, has to be. Has
But
to be.
um yeah, I and here it is again.
Bizarre, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, there's I mean, like look at this stuff.
Ah, yes, there it is. We're gonna
Uh
find it. Yes.
and I just
So one of the theories that I like to think about is obviously you saw a bunch of hokum, right? Bunch of just nonsense. But anyway, I mean, it could be true. Who knows?
yeah.
Was the pyramids are on Earth are so much older from an advanced race that came and taught humanity, you know,
So
science,
and
math. You know what I mean?
okay.
Like
Yeah. You're
seeded the planet. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So logically, if you're like planet hopping, right?
You'd leave one here, leave one there.
Right.
Okay. So now this is going back into some dorkdom stuff here. This is might be before your time. Did you ever see the
Okay.
original movie Stargate? Not the series, but the movie.
Like 2000 or 98 or something like that. A little
I want to
bit.
say it was before then even.
It could is in the 90s or something. I think it was made by the same people that made the movie Cutthroat Island, and then they went out of business after they made Cutthroat Island. Because that same company that made both of those movies made Terminator 2, and it was amazing.
Um,
And they
so
went out of
hold
business.
on here. What was the movie I was talking about?
Stargate.
Stargate. Yeah.
94, 95, something like that.
Um, was James Spader, 1994.
Hmm.
So Matt would have been a wee boy if he's even born yet. But anyway, okay. So this movie, like, you can't see it here because I'm not sharing the right screen. But let me pull it up over here. Hold on here. Let me get. Um,
I know they have the interdimensional portals, which ties to the next thing we're going to talk about,
well,
which is strange.
here's what we're gonna get with this. I'll show you here in
Okay.
a second. Um,
While you're pulling that up, we're talking about portals. They are on like a equatorial line, and we can look at this while we're talking. There's all these like pyramids that are like ziggurat looking ones,
yeah.
and they all have like one big door in the middle and two little doors. And it's like in South America, in Indonesia, and like Asia. It is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. If it's real or not, whatever. But it is
So
so strange,
when you
man.
look at this, am I not sharing this screen now?
Oh, not yet.
Good
We're
lord.
on the we're
Hold on.
on the
Let
red
me.
planet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me see if it'll. I gotta. Here's the one. Okay, man. Okay. So when you look at this, right,
Ah,
it'll
yes, yes,
take
yes.
you a million light years from home. So more or less, and I'm going to ruin this movie for you, but it's 30 years old now, so I'm
Yeah,
not that
yeah.
worried about it. Um,
I've seen most of it, I think. I just don't
okay.
remember it.
They more or less find this artifact in the desert or whatever, right? They open it all up and it's covered with all of these like Egyptian symbols and stuff.
Mm.
And then they get this professor in and they've got like all this stuff and he's like, well, they've got these like this code figured out to it, but they can't figure out this other piece. And he's like, well, you're thinking like two-dimensional. You got to think like three-dimensional or whatever. And he draws like a box. You've seen like a box and you put like a dot in the middle and whatever else, right? And it makes this three-dimensional box.
Mm.
He's like, that's what you need to find because you know all these other points, but not this one. And once they do that, it opens up the Stargate and like they walk
Mm.
through. Well, what they've figured out in this whole process was that the pyramids are actually like spaceships. They move from point to
Ah,
point,
interesting.
and that's what
Okay.
they're using. And so the stargates are because like when they go through that portal, they're in a pyramid in a different. They're a million light years away. They don't know where the
Mm.
hell they are, and then they're just trying to get back through the Stargate. And James Spader falls in love with some weird lady there and whatever else. But um,
It's
yeah, so
it's interesting how many movies use Egypt with space travel because that is like that. What's that movie with Bruce Willis and the girl with red hair? I love the movie
oh yeah, yeah,
with
yeah. Fifth
Lee
Element, a
Fifth
great
Element.
movie.
I
Yeah, yeah.
love that
That's
movie.
a top
Same
100
thing.
lifetime movie. Yeah.
That is a great movie. Same thing. Egypt is tied to ancient
Yep.
technology and like space.
They were the keepers
Culturally,
more or less
yeah,
back in the day. Yeah.
they're the first like proto civilization, right? Was
Yeah.
Egypt for ancient history that we're aware of, right? Look,
Yeah.
if you know how to do the screen share part,
Yeah. What
look
do you need?
up um, pyramids with three gates and see if it'll pull up some
Okay. Hold on.
or like pyramids with three gates across the globe world or something. Now, I watched a thing and there's like three or four across the world. There you go. I think it's that top, the
Well,
triptych
we're
pyramids.
getting in weird stuff here when we're
Yeah,
talking
look
about.
at that.
Okay. So,
Isn't that bizarre, man?
well, but what are these? Oh, are at the top there. Where is this picture inside? You know what I mean? Where is this
Yeah,
in the one? That's what I want to see. But do you know? We're going to get off this topic a little bit here, but we're going to
yeah, yeah.
ramble. Do you know what Jesus said to the disciples at the Last Supper?
Um, he said a lot of things. He
Well,
said a lot of
the main one was if you want to get in the picture, you got to be on this side of the table.
What?
Because I don't know why you have a 40-foot table and you all only sit in one side.
Right,
So
right.
anyway, um, but
So, okay, look,
this is your next one that you want.
that hold on, that first Reddit, that's under Graham Hancock, the legend himself, Ancient Mysteries, Graham
So,
Hancock's Reddit.
but there's a lot of things that, and
So,
pyramids are probably a basic shape, right?
well, are they? I mean, but what was bizarre to me was not just the three gates. Go to the second one there at the top left.
Yeah, where they're
I
kind of
think that
all along
yeah,
the same lines.
on the same equatorial
Okay,
line almost.
but
I
I want to
want to
go back to this. Mankind probably started around the equatorial line.
agree. 100%
And
agree.
so your old shit's going to be along that line.
So, but
But
you have them all dated, ancient history, right? How did man across the world make the same ones in equatorial line, even if it was Pangea?
I was going to bring up Pangea. That's what I
Even
was
if
going to
it
say.
was. I know you were. Even if it was Pangea and the world was locked, right? They wouldn't be in a similar row, right?
Yeah,
Because
they
it would
wouldn't
spread
be.
apart eventually.
And the next thing I'd want to know is what date? How far apart are
Mm,
they in timeline of development? That's the
mhm,
next thing I'd
mhm.
want to know. Is where are they? Um,
But for
I,
me, the structures, the way they're built with those kind of like levels, right? They
yeah,
all have like squared off levels. They all have very similar three gates, right?
yeah,
Which is it's interesting. We notice patterns, right? And that's a pattern. That's strange, right?
yes,
That's a different thing. And then talking about Mars, if they had found a pyramid on Mars with three gates, I'm off the rails. Like I'm gonna be like,
yeah.
there's a portal to Mars. We gotta get
Here's
there.
one of my favorite pictures of Egypt. People don't show this, but like right next to the pyramids is a city. You can stand by the one pyramid and like see a Pizza Hut.
Oh yeah,
But they
nice.
never take the picture from this side.
Of
It's only
course
from
not.
this side going this way. Yeah,
What are your thoughts since we're on
like
pyramids
this.
right
It's
now?
like this. These dudes in the
Yeah,
caves, but on the other side of that pyramid's a Pizza Hut.
it's like you're
The
in the movie
city.
the movie The Mummy or something. It's not even close. You're like
Yeah,
in Hollywood, you know.
yeah.
What are your thoughts about the theory that the pyramid is a power conductor? You ever watch that?
No, but I mean now there's all that talk about well, there's all these structures underneath it and whatever else,
Yeah.
and so I don't know. I think there's a lot going on there. I
I
think there's
don't
reasons why they're there.
I don't think it was for burial.
No, I think it's too much for burial.
Yeah.
Um, so whether it was, I mean, I think most definitely in Central South America, it is all, or Mexico, Central, I think it's
Mm.
Mexico and Central America. I think it's almost all religious driven,
Yes.
right?
Yes. The
Trying,
sun god, the moon god,
yeah,
whatever.
building up to get closer to their
Mhm.
gods, right? And you talk like 3,000 years ago, how else are you going to build up but a
Mhm.
pyramid? Because you got to be able to, you need sides. You can't, that's going to be the easiest one for them to do. Um, so that's my thought on that.
Mm.
Um, but here's the new stuff they're all talking about, where it's got all this underground stuff and whatever on it.
Ooh, hold on a
Um,
second. Go to that one that says Orion correlation theory. I think that was part of the documentary. It lines up with like,
oh,
look at that. Isn't that
well,
weird?
and that's and the ones in China, Egypt, and what is Mexico? I don't see the one in Memphis.
Look at that picture where
That's a
they line
joke.
up with the star. Yes, yes. It's like one of the largest pyramids in the world.
It's the third largest pyramid in the world,
Yeah,
I think.
and it's a dadgum Bass Pro Shop
So, but okay, so you need to go.
selling crappy beef jerky.
You need to go and timeshares. You
Yeah,
need to go and watch the Fat Electrician breakdown on that whole thing because number one, Bass Pro Shops itself is insane. The
yeah.
way this guy started that business, and that pyramid is even more insane because like some dude when they built that had a crystal skull hidden in like the
I heard
apex
that
top of it and
story.
everything. And
Yes,
that dude was the guy who created Hard Rock Cafe. Had that done
yes.
there. And I didn't realize that pyramid was built in like 85. I thought it was newer than that
I
only
think
because that's
Dan.
when Bass Pro took over like 10 years ago or whatever.
I think Dan Aykroyd has a crystal skull and then made crystal skull vodka.
Probably. But the crystal skulls have all been debunked.
Yeah,
They're all
yeah. I mean,
man-made or whatever. There's no but it's a good story. And they
Indiana Jones found one,
oh
so I don't
god.
know why you're being such a hater
Stop.
right now.
Stop.
I don't know why you're
I
just.
I okay, and this is all before your time as well. But I remember I don't think I saw Temple of Doom in the theater, but I do remember seeing Last Crusade in the
Mm.
theater. And then when Crystal Skull came out, and I'm like, man, I get to go see Indiana Jones again in the theater.
It's
And
the
I
most
went.
depressing thing on this
I wanted my
planet.
money back, man.
Yeah.
I wanted my money back. I'm like, Indiana Jones and the aliens, like, stop the
My
madness.
favorite Indiana Jones is Temple of Doom. That is my favorite one. Raiders is great. They're all great in their own way.
Yeah.
But Temple of Doom, it's my favorite one.
So Temple of Doom, Temple of Doom is really good. Um, and it's an outlier. You could make
Yeah.
Temple of Doom its own thing, right? So Raiders fighting Nazis,
Yeah.
right? Then Temple of Doom, he's like out in India doing whatever because
That's why it's
some
so
Chinese dude turned on him.
yeah. That's
And
why it's
then
so good. He's got his
yeah,
friend Short Round, you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like the best.
And then you've got, you're back to Last Crusade fighting Nazis again.
Mm.
And then you're fighting aliens. I don't know.
I know, it's
But
so sad.
it is. And I
They could
don't,
have
I
had
mean,
so many good stories like Hunt
but
for
you had
Atlantis and stuff.
so Raiders, no supernatural. Temple of
Mm.
Doom, you've
Well,
got
Raiders had supernatural, bro.
well,
Come on, at the
okay,
end.
religious though.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
call it supernatural, but it's religious because
Yeah.
the Ark of the Covenant, we have no idea. And there's a lot of stuff that talks about the Ark of the Covenant being a once again a power device or a
Mm.
giant radio or whatever else. Like there's all these weird stuff that's got going on with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that you have no idea what's going to happen if they open the Ark of the Covenant. I mean, that's something I wouldn't want to crack open.
I wouldn't
Um,
touch it, man. If
yeah,
if they found it, because I remember
there's
hearing the story as a kid about the guy, like they're carrying the ark on the wagon and it hits a bump and the ark was falling off, so he tries to grab it to hold
yeah,
it up. He's a good dude. Dead. Instant.
yeah.
He's instant dead.
I mean, there were people that are trying to use it as a weapon because of its power and stuff. So, and I think that's what the Nazis were doing in the whole Raiders of the Lost Ark. But
Mm.
anyway, okay. So you've got that, and then we're going to skip Temple of Doom. We'll come right back to it. But then
Okay.
um, in the Last Crusade, when they are in when they finally get to what's the name? The place in Jordan when they go into the big thing in the wall.
Oh,
Um,
Petra.
yeah.
Petra.
So they're in there, and he's like, uh, the biggest thing in there is he's got to have faith and take that step.
Mm.
And he more or less steps out, and there's like more or less like a glass like walkway that you can't see, and it throws the sand across and stuff. So there's some stuff there. There's
Mm.
the original knight that's in there still watching. He's like 6,000 years old because
Mm.
he's more or less kind of been cursed to live forever and guard the thing until the next person that is what's the
Like
word I'm looking for? Worthy.
worthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The next person that's worthy to more or less guard the cup.
Mm.
So that's kind of supernatural stuff too. But when you get into the stuff that's happening um, in Temple of Doom,
Mm.
really the only thing is like the old like the I don't want to call him the witch doctor or whatever, but he is
Like a
the
shaman.
yeah, and I mean he's more or less pulling people's hearts out and doing whatever. They got voodoo dolls and stuff like that. That's
The
just
They're looking
that's
for these Shankala stones to
yeah, that
bring peace to the
yeah,
land,
and
you
they
know?
glow when you get the two of them or three of them together and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that is, this Far East mystical that you want to believe,
Mm.
especially when it comes into stuff with India, where you've got kind of some of that mysticism and stuff that
A
you've got
lot. And
you.
it's interesting because it's a border between Arabic and
Oh
Asia.
yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot of
Well,
cross,
that's
you
that's
know.
the cool thing about when you get over in that part of the world. You talk about the old silk trade and this, that, and the
Mm.
other. A lot of the cultural stuff that was passed back and forth in those areas because of the cross cultural trade and stuff that's been going on for so
Mhm.
long. Um, but so those were great. I mean, I enjoyed those, and I don't think they were that far out there. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but Raiders of the Lost Ark was a religious. I mean, it's all religious undertones. He's
Oh
fighting
yeah, yeah.
Nazis who are trying to collect these religious artifacts and use them. And the
And
same
fair
thing
enough,
in
they found
Lost or
ancient
in
manuscripts about like the stuff they're talking about.
yeah,
That's thousands.
yeah,
So it's within the realm of like plausibility. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's not like something like, well, that's a Mars face. You know what I
No,
mean?
it's
It's
not
like,
something like a crystal skull and aliens.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
You know what I mean?
that so that bothered me. But anyway, okay. So back to the Mars stuff and the
Mm.
pyramids. Um, I I'm more intrigued on the pyramids, not necessarily on what they do,
Hmm.
but how they got around the world before we had the technology to get around the world. So,
That's the part that's weird
how
to
does
me.
this culture pretty much have a matching pyramid to that culture before we had, you know, cross continental travel really that we
Right.
knew about? And the people that were traveling cross continent weren't ones that were taking the blueprints to the pyramids. They were chasing animals or whatever else and ended up, getting through this area to that
Even if
area.
you had somebody from the cradle of Earth that saw some of those like ziggurat looking
Yeah,
pyramids, right? And they, let's say they're like, hey, we're sending 50 people. We're going to go find somewhere. They land in South America, right?
yeah.
Even if they tried to like remember, all right, it kind of looked like this, right? They, you couldn't rebuild it like that. And
Well,
they looked
no,
so close, which is
but
strange,
that,
you know?
and I mean, I think a lot more went into it because just having the, I mean, there's the dude who had the blueprint. Then
Hmm.
there's the, okay, see, let's put it this way. You got the architect who plans the house, right?
Hmm.
Then you got the contractor who's actually like building the house,
With
right?
precise measurements.
Yeah, yeah, but he's
Yeah.
also bringing in. He's not doing electrical work. He's bringing in
Yep.
electricians to do that. He's not doing the plumbing. He's bringing in. So you need, even with these things, you need the guys who are cutting the stones. Where are they getting this material from? So you need people
Yep.
to harvest the material. You need people to get it to here. You need people to place it. You need people to make sure that this corner, because if the one corner is off by 15 feet, it's not going to be right.
And and you have to have a in my opinion, like an astrologist, because all of these things, not all of them, but many of them are lined up
Oh
with
yeah,
celestial bodies. So you have to have someone that knows the rhythm
yeah,
of, the planet and everything, and where this waxing, wane, all those things, right? They know how to line it up perfectly so it is
yeah,
in line, kind of like that picture, if that's real or not, right?
yeah. Do you know what I kind of really upset that I didn't go and do is see the Georgia Guidestones before they got blown up.
Oh yeah, what a bizarre thing.
And it's only like, I mean, it's like an hour and a half from the house or
Yeah,
something. I mean,
they're gone
I
now.
oh yeah, I kicked myself because I should have gone to see them. And they had some celestial crap built into them that was pretty neat.
While we're on the topic of Mars and interstellar travel,
Yeah,
look up um um oh, what is the word we want to use? It's gates, uh gates across the, it's not just gates though, it's like maybe space travel gates across the world. You want to see some weird stuff?
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the lines of whatever that line up from different points in
No,
around
not
the
even
world.
that. There's like kind of doors cut into rocks and it's
What?
weird. Yeah, it's
Okay, so hold on.
strange.
What are you calling it?
Maybe,
Portals?
yeah, maybe portal gates across the world. This is some weird stuff. All right. It's all fake.
Yeah,
Dang.
that's not good at
There
all.
it is. Maybe that one from London may be a real one, that one. But there's like these weird doors cut into things in the middle of nowhere, right? Maybe if you scroll down on that one image, it'll show related. It's like
These are like
maybe,
mines and stuff, though.
yeah, I'm thinking probably that top one is the one that comes to mind.
This.
It's in the middle of like Mexico or somewhere, but nothing is around it. It's bizarre.
Okay, hold on. So like a stone door
Yeah, 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 maybe that.
in isolated places. Oh yeah, these things are crazy too. Have you
What
seen
is
these?
that? No.
Oh, you don't know about this?
What is
Okay.
that?
So hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
It's the
We'll
Martians,
come
man.
back to that in a second.
It's the
But we're
Martians.
we're in that whole thing here.
That's another thing to talk about there. Talking about ancient civilizations, the Papua
So
New Guinea guys.
this like polished stone thing, I can't remember if it's like 18 feet tall or something. It's actually steel,
Hmm.
three-sided obelisk deal that just showed up in Utah, and it sat there for like a week and then disappeared.
What?
Um, yeah, hold on. It's a metal pillar that stood in the Red Sandstone Slot Canyon in northern San Juan County, Utah. It was
Hmm.
3 meters, so 9 feet tall, made of metal sheets riveted into a triangular prism. It was unlawfully placed in public land between July and October 2016. Stood unnoticed for over 4 years until
For
its
years.
discovery and removal in 2020. Makers unknown. Another one popped up somewhere else, I think.
Weird. That is that's some Georgia Guidestone crap right there. That is weird.
Yeah, but somebody just put it there. I mean, it's like an art thing. I think people put together.
What
Yeah,
about what about obelisks on Mars? That was one of the things we're going to talk about, I
yeah. Hold
think.
on. Let me get back to. Is it
Is
gonna
either,
go with me or
and I
not?
may
No,
be
it's not going
crossing
to.
it up a little bit. I think it was obelisks on Mars, but it may have been the moon.
So the moon's got an obelisk too.
I may be thinking of the moon.
Okay, did I? Yeah, hold on here. Yeah, okay. So we want obelisk on Mars.
Yeah, let's see. We need to get a we need to get
How do I spell obelisk? I'm
um
spelling it wrong.
Obelisk, I think.
There we go. Obelisk. What we want on Mars, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Washington Monument?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's got some weirdness going on.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah, check that out.
this one I like. Just because once again it's square.
That's
They
strange.
just
And
call it
it
a
does look,
monolith.
it looks kind of like
So
a pyramid at the top a little bit. See
yeah,
the shadows on it?
yeah, but this is the one that gets me because this dude on the moon, the one on the moon is like miles high.
What?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's this one, but whatever it is, like the way it casts its shadow and stuff, they have
Oh, okay,
figured
yeah, yeah.
out that it is like 60 miles tall or something. Like
Mars monolith.
yeah, that says that's Mars, but yeah, there's
This is where it ties to Egypt, right? Egypt has pyramids. Egypt has, obelisks.
yeah.
That's where that thought of like the proto generator of civilization. And it's weird, like modern day, well, not modern day, but the United States being however we were built, right? Adapts a lot of these occultic, mystical type things in a lot of our symbolism, right?
Oh yeah.
Like
Well, I
the
mean,
George Washington Monument, like a lot of the Masonic stuff, you know what I mean?
well, if you want to get into Masonic stuff, I mean, even like the planning of DC has a
Yeah.
ton of Masonic stuff in it. And I mean, I, I mean, you know more a lot about the lodge than I do. I mean, I'm
Mm.
most definitely just know what I've seen on the internet and heard from other people. Um, I don't think it's bad intentions at all. I think it
Yeah.
was, it,
A lot of superstition, a
yeah,
lot of
yeah. But
just
that's, but I
practice,
think
you know?
if you look at the age of it and things like that, I
Mm.
think mysticism and things like that, and the mysticism that's placed upon it keeps people away. And
Yeah.
so you know, if you're trying to protect tradecraft, protect, and if your founding fathers protecting from other people, even other,
Hmm.
I mean, just because you're in a lodge in the States, you know, planning a rebellion against the government, you came from a lodge in UK. And you
Yeah.
can't necessarily let those guys just know what you're doing because I'm sure a lot of that was planned in lodges because that's how many founding fathers were Masons. Probably most of them, right?
Oh yeah,
So,
100%.
I mean, most of that stuff was founded in lodges, which are probably also pubs, but
Hmm.
all together. And so, but I think you don't want the average outsider knowing. So you want a place that's kind of locked down. You've got a handshake and whatever else to get
Hmm.
in, so they know you're trustworthy. I don't want to say they've got incriminating crap on you, but you know they're going to make sure that
Hmm.
you're not out there telling whoever whatever else. But that's
It's a fraternity of secrecy,
yeah, but
which is
that's what
strange, but it's what it is.
yeah, but also if you think about it, I mean, if you talk about actual like masons, I'm not talking about like the club or whatever else. I'm talking about people that work stone and things like that.
Mm.
You have to protect your trade, and I'm
Yeah.
sure passing that down, you can bring on an apprentice or whatever else, and you know teach those trade crafts too. But you need to, you know, number one, you want good work done because you're literally laying the foundation of
Hmm.
society and yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think where it's at
It's
today is not what it started
it's
as.
so interesting. Like we're off it a little bit, but with um like the founding of the Masonic Lodge, it traces its roots all the way back to one thing, building King Solomon's temple
Yeah.
in Jerusalem, which is so interesting. It's just an interesting thing. You
I
know
want
what I
to,
mean?
want to run something real quick here.
Let's see.
Spell astronauts right.
Yeah,
How many
John Glenn,
astronauts were
Buzz.
raisins? Were raisins?
Raisins.
Were
Raisins. Oh,
masons?
they're all raisins
Um,
now, buddy.
what's a female mason called? What are we talking about there? Okay, hold on.
Well, there is no female Masons technically.
No, they're Eastern Star ladies or whatever. I don't know what they are, but
The
yeah,
Scottish Rite. Ooh,
that's it. Just
I
those
know
two.
surely there's more. I know Elvis was a Mason. John Wayne was. Oh, that's a great name. Look at that. Leroy. 33rd degree.
I think they. It
Oh, I
didn't say
think
if
they probably
Buzz
all.
was. Look at that suit.
Man, that's nice.
Gus
Virgil.
Grissom, wasn't he on the that one show CSI?
Probably. It sounds like it.
That was if Gus Grissom was the name of
Is it
the main guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Gus?
um, I think it was Gus Grissom. Might have been something else, but it was. I want to
Look
say.
at that.
But it just
It's a
happens to be
conspiracy, bro.
a lot of these guys were Masons. Just saying. And these are old timer dudes, not like the new ones. And it's just like this is the home of the Scottish Rite.
Mm.
So if they were York Rite dudes, who knows? There could be more. I don't know.
That whole thing is so cool. So
The York Scottish Rite.
once you become a master mason, right? You can
Yeah.
bridge off of two paths, right? The York or the Scottish. And you become
Okay.
a master in one of those. You may be able to be both, but I think you can be a master
We're
in
gonna
one of
jump over
those.
to IMDb real quick because I want to look up something now.
Oh, his name
CSI.
is Gus
I
Grissom.
want to say he was Gus Grissom. So hold on. Gil
And Gil,
Grissom.
oh,
Gil Grissom. Damn, I was
so
close.
close.
I was close. So close.
That was a great show.
It was. And I
That
think
was
it
a great
changed the way
show.
a lot of juries worked in court
Probably.
because they assumed you could just zoom, enhance, and rotate stuff and get it to. Why don't you have that evidence? You had 90 minutes. I don't know why you couldn't solve this
Enhance.
crime. Yeah.
I
But
think maybe I hate to ask you,
what do
maybe
you
we
need?
look up structures on Mars. Let's just search structures on
Okay.
Mars. Let's see what Google AI shows us. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah.
Well, there's your door right there.
Where?
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
How did
you're in the
I?
other window?
Apparently. What the heck happened here?
It's
Hold on.
AI. It's the curse of
Structures
AI.
on Mars. How is this not giving me? Okay, how am I not sharing this screen anymore? Oh, what the heck? Oh man, when I go to images, it doesn't like that.
Weird.
It
It's the government. They know we're
is.
talking about all the ancient secrets.
That's
Look at all the stuff that says it's on Mars.
what is this thing?
I've never seen that.
Okay, hold on. Why was that not letting me go to images now? That sucks. Anyway, hold on.
Gullies, glaciers, something called chaos terrain. Come on, dude. What is that?
I don't know.
That sounds wild.
See, why?
Chaos
Okay,
terrain.
whenever I did this, it did not like it. Okay, hold on for a
Look at the
second.
picture of Mars, though. What a strange thing.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we're on a ball floating in the middle of the galaxy, right?
Yes.
And then you got all these other planets in our system, different colors, different things it does, different temperatures, right? Look at that. Face wearing a mask helmet?
Yeah, that's what that's talking about. This is that
Uh,
there. This is that whatever it is telling you, showing you things you think you're seeing in your
Now there's
head.
definitely a hole. I see the hole. Window, maybe.
Yeah, I don't. Who
I think a
knows?
structure like a pyramid would last way more. What is that? The top right one? Or yeah, come on, there it is. I knew it. I knew it.
My mom would believe that. What are you talking about?
Oh
This one?
yeah. No, second from the left.
Second,
Mega
this?
structure on Mars, all the way over
I
to the
think
left.
that's just. I think that's just rock.
Yeah, that's weird.
I mean, the way it is shaped is weird, but I think it's. I mean, unless it's like
NASA
an old
shows.
Nazi pillbox or something.
I think if the Germans went anywhere, it would have been probably the moon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, considering we used a V2 rocket, I mean the Saturn rocket
There's
to get
another
there.
picture. It's like a space crab or something.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that's a space crab.
That there's another NASA image, wild square structure. That gray picture in the bottom.
This one.
That I think we saw a little bit of
Yeah,
that
we
in
did.
another one, but that is a box, man.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
like a
You
like a
don't.
layout of like a room or like a building.
Yeah, it
You
looks
know
like
what
an
I mean?
old structure foundation. Yeah. Um, isn't this a harvester from Dune? Oh no, it's not.
That's from Tatooine, guy.
That's what it looks like.
That's those air condensers
Which is
that
actually
Luke was
Jordan. But
working.
yeah,
That's what Luke was working on. So talking about Mars, right? You
yeah.
think we could terraform areas of it eventually?
If we did, it'd be something like this, to where we're building
Like
inside
pods?
greenhouses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's so harsh outside, and I
Yeah.
I don't think people understand the swings you're going to have there because of the way the atmosphere is.
Hmm.
The night and day temperature difference is going to be crazy,
Yeah.
and that's just where you're at.
Ooh,
Oh, I was
there's a
going to tell you
full
this story.
look at
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
full picture of that square box on the right-hand side. You can see the whole thing.
Yeah. Well,
If that's real, if
I think
that's a
this is
real picture.
enhanced. This is enhanced
Yeah.
off of this, I think. But um, so
Weird.
back when, hold on, I'm going to bring up something else. Hold on. What is this? Is that a chick on Mars?
What is that? It looks like a buxom lady
It does. Man, I'm gonna go to Mars now. But anyway,
haunting Mars.
so
Go back
so
to Venus.
when we'll get into Venus in a second too. But anyway, so when I was doing investigations, I had to go and interview a dude at Vanderbilt who was building something for um I'm not even sure, but it was going out to the air base near where I live.
Mhm.
And he was building a machine that could fit into inside a certain size space that could 3D print these boxes that they would use to mix the soil on Mars with another chemical that would create an explosive. And so what they would do then is they would take these things he was being able to 3D
Okay.
print in space whenever this thing landed on Mars, and it would print these things so they could lay them in a row and actually ignite them and make trenches to link up all those little biomes together by creating
That is
trenches,
cool.
because they found out the soil is made up of whatever chemical. They can mix this other chemical and make an explosive out of it, and then they can actually. So he's building these things so they can make the forms for these shape charges to put on the ground to create the trench lines from habitat to habitat to bury all of their
So you can control
connections
the
underground.
temperature a little bit.
You can do everything:
Yeah.
power, temperature, air, all that
Oh,
stuff. It'd be connected.
so cool.
And they got that figured out, but he had to build this thing that was able. So he's more or less building a 3D printer that could fit inside a spaceship or whatever to land there and start printing these things off. So whenever people got there, they would have these molds or whatever made that they could put these explosives in to lay their trench lines.
That
Yeah, I was
is
like,
awesome.
what are you, what are you doing, dude? But, okay. So then I started watching something and they were talking about, how long you could live on another planet. And they went through the different
Okay.
planets and things like that. Venus, like the only time we've ever had a probe inside the atmosphere of Venus, it only
Hmm.
lasted like 90 minutes. And the
Really?
atmosphere just ate it alive because it's like sulfuric acid gas is what the
Ah,
gas on Venus is, and it
it
just
just melts
just
everything.
destroyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like beyond the pressure and the temperature, you wouldn't last like a minute. You take your mask off and just be done, gone.
Jeez.
Yeah, what I'm assuming the same thing would happen on Mars. I mean, there's no air. It's going to
Hmm.
be 500 degrees. Your face is going to burn off or whatever
I'm interested. Why do we want to hit Mars before the moon? You know what I mean?
because the moon's not real. Um, so
I mean,
the
maybe. I
moon,
don't know.
we've talked
The
about.
moon is real, right?
Oh, it's real. There's an
It's
object
real.
there.
Yeah.
What it's made out of, if
It's a
it's
hologram.
cheese
It's a
or if
hologram.
it's made out of steel, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. There's so much stuff that bothers me about the moon. Um, the main thing is why have we never went back? Oh, we
That's a
lost
big
the
thing.
calculations. Dude, I could probably ask ChatGPT how to get a rocket to the moon. It's going to give me an
Hmm.
answer. So
Hmm.
don't tell me that we've lost the stuff. Um, I just I think okay, two things. Number one, they probably are under the impression that we don't have enough whatever on the moon to sustain life. And if
Okay.
the Earth is going to be uninhabitable, being on an object rotating around it is not going to be good. Also, the way the moon works,
True.
it's like, you got to pick a place to be because one side, you got the dark side, whatever thing,
Hmm.
you're not going to see the sun or whatever. So you've got that going on. But the other part, the overarching,
It is tied to the Earth.
yeah, and I think
Mars is not.
yeah, Mars has its own thing going on.
Mm.
Its day is a little bit longer than ours or shorter than ours or whatever it
Hmm.
is. But I think it's the next best choice. I don't think is Mars in the Goldilocks zone though to be able to grow shit. I don't know.
I don't
But
know.
the thing that bothers me about the moon is I think we're afraid to go there now because it's going to show that we weren't there the first time.
That I 100% agree
And
with
then they're
that.
going to have to be like, yeah, well,
Well,
it was the space race and we
we
were
had to
fighting the
beat the
Russians. And
Russians.
because here's my thing, if we went there, okay, so we got there in 16. I think we already do a moon episode or not?
Yeah.
Um, okay,
We've been down like the moon like three
so
times because it's so
but the moon
interesting.
bothers me because I was
Yeah.
like, I remember I had somebody told me once a long time ago, I was like, oh yeah, we never went to the moon. I was like, oh, what? Yeah, we didn't. And then they're like, well, how'd you get past the Van Allen belt? And I started researching things, and I'm like, well, shit.
Dang, he's got a
Now
point.
I'm starting to
Shoot.
question all this
Yeah.
stuff, right? And so, you know, let's say we made it to the moon.
Okay.
Okay. We went there. We did all this great stuff. We planted a flag and whatever. Okay. So now we are in the Cold War, right? We are in the height of the Cold War.
Hmm.
I mean, Russia, this is the late 60s, right? Russia is not broke yet. Okay.
Anything can happen.
Yep, we have not fiscally broke them. That was the 80s before that happened. We're doing all this stuff. Wouldn't you think? Okay, let's reverse this now. Okay, so some cosmonaut gets to the moon before we do, and he puts
Mm.
a Russian flag in the moon. You don't think we would go to the moon and put a mega-sized flag next to it?
Literally.
Be like, look, our flag's twice as big as yours,
Yep.
and we
Take
kick
theirs
theirs
out,
over.
throw it into
Yep,
space.
and take some pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
And be like, come back. So why wouldn't the Russians do the same thing?
Yeah, yeah. Because it's not possible.
Yes,
Because it's not possible. That's the answer.
but we've been told that it was, and we did that.
There's a
Um,
lot of things we've been down the conspiracy hole before with like
yeah,
random conspiracies. There's a lot of things we were told that just weren't true, right? Lies.
but
Gulf of Tonkin incident, right?
but dude,
Perfect example.
there's all sorts of stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
I the older I get, the freer access we have to information. Um, we realize how much the government lies to us
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
appease the population.
That's where I get
Um,
frustrated with like all these like national and cultural divides with like, oh, we can't trust insert whatever. Let's say
yeah, yeah,
China, for example. We can't trust the Chinese government for whatever reason, right? But then we're practicing maybe similar things here. I'm like, I don't
yeah.
understand
Well, that's why
why
I don't listen to any normal media anymore
it's all
because
hope.
it's
It's
all
all, yeah.
bought and paid for. They're telling you what the government wants you to hear,
Hmm.
and that's where it's like out of control now
Buy
because
Ozempic. Buy,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Whatever.
Well, the right now the word on the street is that in less than 6 months they're going to take the TV advertising pharmaceutical stuff off.
We're
Um,
one of only like two countries that have
yeah,
it.
us in New Zealand,
Yeah.
and New Zealand's got strict regulations on that. Um, but within like 6 months, because right now they, from what I heard from John C. Dvorak on the No
Mm.
Agenda show, was more or less they've put out feelers to the big agencies to where they're going to find their budget stuff because it's coming. Because they got to find out where
Ooh,
they're
I
going to make
wonder
up
where
their money.
I wonder how they will do that.
I
Price
don't know.
increases.
Well, but I mean, they're
You know what I
they're
mean?
they're major news networks though, so they're gonna have to find their price increases are through advertising. So they're gonna have
Yeah.
to find other people to advertise, McDonald's and Nike and whatever else.
You get a
Um,
Big Mac and it has like a ad for friggin' insert whatever
well, they
product.
also think it's gonna be native ads, so it's gonna be a story in the news about how this kid's life was saved by Ozempic or whatever.
Mm.
And so
Young man's life changed forever once he started taking Zyrtec.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
whatever.
Narcan saved 18 people today,
Wow, you
but
can buy Narcan at www.
yeah,
Whatever.
so. I'll tell you right now, if you get prescribed any opioids from the VA, they automatically send you 2 things of Narcan.
Really?
Yeah,
Jesus
I've got like 6 of
Christ.
them downstairs.
Shit. Oh my gosh.
Yep. I mean, I've thought about just throwing them in the car and having them in case I see somebody doing the funky chicken.
Bro.
Start
It
jamming things
happens
up their
all the
nose.
time now, man.
Yeah, yeah. But so uh, yeah, I don't know. But and that's like back to the thing. I don't trust us. I mean,
Mm.
like the whole thing with you know the war in Israel and
Mm.
the Palestinians. I don't know what the hell's actually going on there because you can listen to one
Yep.
news source and it's these guys are the bad guys, these guys are the bad guys. Same thing with Ukraine and Russia, right? Who knows what's really going on? What I do know is they're spending a shit ton of money,
Yeah.
and
Some people
people.
some people are spending a lot of money and some people are making a lot of money.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and that's what
Mhm.
I mean. War is good business generally,
Oh yeah.
especially if you make bombs and guns and things like
Unless
that.
you're a sucker that signs up to you
Well,
know, do your part, you know what I mean?
I hope that number one, the tariffs got to drop. I hope that Bulgaria and all these other countries that are pumping out like steel case 7.62 by 39 ammo, I just hope they have like a war chest stockpile they got to get rid of, and that shit drops to like 9 cents a round,
For
and it can
real.
come into America without a tariff. That would be awesome. Because I'm telling you what, right now, that's of all the sporting rifles I own, that Zastava M70 is sweet,
Mm.
man. That's I love shooting that thing.
If we ever had to fight alien Martians, that could be a handy thing to have. You know what I mean?
It's
Bring
so
a Martian
okay.
invasion.
So let's go into the Martian invasion stuff. Okay, now we land on Mars,
We're
and
here.
we figure out
We
that
have our biomes.
yep, and there are Martians, right? What? How are we even fighting these dudes?
Ah, man.
What? Because are they going to be friendly? What are the
Well,
odds?
I don't know. Either it's going to be an advanced race, right? That just
Yeah,
is all knowing and we cause the problem, right?
yeah,
Or they're going to be a hostile race because they've seen what we did. An advanced race that's hostile because they saw what we did,
yeah,
right? And they're like, get out, you know. The
yeah.
answer to how to deal with it is you have a finely sharpened Japanese Nippon steel katana and you battle them to the end.
So, but okay, and you joke about that, but that would be a better weapon to have possibly than a gun.
Yep.
Of course, you don't want to close the gap with them, but if you cut a limb off, but for all you know, whatever these things are, they're crawling out of the earth. They could just, or ground or whatever it is, they could just grow a new
Hack off
limb.
one of their 8 limbs, whatever they have.
Yeah.
You know?
And so it's, you may have to get some alien guns to shoot him back with or something. But there's a lot that, I mean, we don't know. I mean,
Mm.
I think of Starship Troopers, man. They're fighting the giant space bugs.
You know what one of my favorite Star Trek type movies was?
What?
Galaxy Quest.
Oh, that was a great movie. It had
That's a
Alan Rickman in it.
great movie.
And Tim Allen. Sigourney
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
great space exploration movie.
Yeah. I mean, there's some good ones out there. I need to get into like some old school like Star Trek stuff.
Oh man, they're
I just
great.
never. I remember watching one where they put a weird thing in some guy's ear or something. One of
The
them.
weirdest the weirdest original 1960 Star Trek episode I can remember is they're traveling through space and they hear a voice on the ship. It's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And they're like, "Oh, but hail the screen." They pull the screen up. It's like Abraham Lincoln's head floating in
Are
space.
you serious?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
I
was
mean,
like, "What the heck?
I
Where's
remember
those green
watching.
alien chicks at?" I don't
I
want.
remember watching the old like the movies,
Yeah.
right? And there's one where they put this weird thing in a guy's ear. Like this weird, they pulled it out of a jar or this little bowl of sand and dropped it in this
Mm.
guy's ear to make him do stuff.
The
but
biggest BS Star
yeah.
Trek movie I can remember is the one where they like save humpback whales. They take them to San Francisco's like bay, and, like put humpback whales back in the
Are you
ocean.
serious?
Yeah, dude, I'm 100% real. That is real, bro.
So should I watch the TV show or should I watch the movies?
TV show. The best movie, if you're gonna watch a Star Trek original type movie, is The Wrath of Khan.
I think that's the one where they put the thing in the guy's ear.
The Wrath of Khan, top
Hold
tier.
on here. Let me
The
see.
the rest of them, uh, just okay. They're all right. The reboot Star Treks, since we're talking about space and everything, they were fun. They were good. I liked them. Like the first one, second one were good.
Yeah.
But there's not been like a space movie that I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I liked
The,
Alien. Alien was amazing. Prometheus, amazing good.
yeah. Okay.
Love those.
The Wrath of Khan in the Star Trek movie The Wrath of
Mm,
Khan, there's a scene where the characters encounter a brain-hungry earbug called the
mm,
SETI eel. The eel wraps itself around the victim's cerebral cortex, rendering them extremely susceptible to suggestion and leading to madness and death. But anyway,
mm.
yeah, so I remember that part. So I've seen that. Have you seen Interstellar? Have we discussed this one before?
I
You
haven't
need to
seen that
watch
yet.
Interstellar, and we got to discuss that because there's some interesting stuff in Interstellar.
Mm.
It's dealing with black holes and time and things like that, which is very interesting.
That is an
Um,
interesting concept.
so yeah, I mean they end up on a planet to where time slows down or no speeds up I can't remember what it was. Like they plan on only being there for a few minutes, but it's like a year on like Earth or whatever.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's weird things like that, but there's a lot more that goes into it. It's worth watching.
So so what do you think? Do you think Mars has potentially structures? I think
I think so.
maybe.
I think it's potentially got structures. I think that it probably had life at some point in time. If it
Yeah.
still doesn't have microbiome life somewhere under the soil, things like that, because there
And
is
it
moisture
very
on it
well
too.
could. It very
Yeah,
well
yeah.
could under the surface,
Yep,
right?
yep. Well, I mean, there's people that think there's a whole colony of people living on Earth under the surface too.
Yes, they
So
do.
I think it's very possible that there's stuff there. We just haven't like found it. I think there's probably possible there's stuff there that's been wiped out too and covered by dust. If
Mhm.
we all died tomorrow on Earth, how long would it take for everything to be pretty much erased down to where all you see is images of foundations on some barren scapes, right?
Not
Similar to
long.
that. No, no,
Not long.
I would say 100 years, and
I
it'd be
mean,
hard to find.
you got to think about like even like Rome. Rome
Yeah,
fell in like what? Mm,
I don't even know yet, but
probably 400 ADs,
yeah,
early ADs. So maybe like a couple thousand years ago. I mean, there's some things still there, but
it's not the same. Yeah,
nothing.
the rest is gone, and it
Yeah.
was a huge, huge city. So I think it's very possible. I do think within probably 15 years, we'll probably find some crazy people that will go there, probably on a one-way mission.
To
And
Mars.
yeah, yeah, and try and be in a habitat. You're finding those people already. There was,
Be
I
the
mean,
first people to step on Mars.
yeah, there was a program. Oh God, what? There was a girl in the army. The army was like taking volunteers originally for a project, and they pretty much had to it was a one-way thing and whatever, and they
Oh
were taking people for
wow.
this. And there was this one girl. What was her name? She was like a lieutenant or a captain, and I want to say her last name was Beam, and she's like a website like Beam Her to Mars.
What?
Yeah, because she had been selected to participate in this program or whatever, and whatever happened to that? I mean, because the same
I
way like
bet.
astronauts are picked from the military, right? It was the same
Yeah.
thing where they were going to pick these people and train them for a one-way trip to Mars.
Now that we talk about it, it could be that Mars is the first place we do go
Oh,
rather
I
than
think
the
it's going to
moon.
be. I think it's going to be.
I think you
I
could be right about that.
I would like to see if they get people to the moon. I mean, I think that's possible, but like right now, they're talking about putting stuff to like equipment on the moon and stuff
Hmm.
like that they're talking about doing, but it doesn't take that long.
Hmm.
Why are we sending up celebrities for an 11-minute joyride when we could actually be doing something beyond that.
Something to progress the human race rather than, yeah, sending up some nobody celebrity that'll be destitute in like
Yeah,
15, 20 years.
2015.
That wasn't that
Fort
long ago.
Fort Campbell soldier. Fort Campbell soldier remains fixed on her Mars dream. When the cut down from 705 candidates to 100 was announced by the Mars One program on February 16th, Fort Campbell First Lieutenant Heidi Beamer
Oh, you're right.
wasn't on the list. It was a crushing blow for about 10 seconds.
Oh,
Okay.
so she was like, that's why she started funding to try to
Oh, it's a
go.
privately run nonprofit Netherlands-based program which seeks to send a crew on a one-way trip to Mars in 2024. Nah, nah, no.
Yeah,
Um,
the coof probably put the brakes on that.
everything probably put the brakes on it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but anyway, um, so it wasn't an army program, but uh, I mean, I think that we will. I mean, they're going to
Hmm.
find people who will do it, and then it's only a matter of time. Um, I the questions I have are, you know, why have we not been back to the moon, right?
Number
So
one.
what, are we working to get something past the Van Allen stuff so we don't just
Hmm.
fry everybody trying to do that, and we've got to
Which
figure
leads
out
to
this
question
puzzle.
two, if we're trying to figure that out, how did we get there in the first place,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Question one, what are you doing to get there? Question two, if we have to figure this out, did we even get there in the first place? You know what I mean?
And the moon should be the first stop.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
agree.
that um, the moon may be a starting point. I think that goes back to like Ad Astra. Um, more or less the movie Ad Astra, they had a base on the moon. And so that's what you would leave Earth,
Mm.
get to this base in the moon, and then you would go other places from there because
It was the
you
hub.
you don't have to push out of the Earth's atmosphere anymore. So it's easier to go there. It was almost like it's been a while. I put your Ad Astra, and it's almost like going to an airport, right? And then you
Mm.
go to your next gate, and you're getting in whatever and launching off to this like that way or whatever, because that's it's just easier jump off point because you're not getting out of the Earth's atmosphere again. That giant push you had to do that. So I don't know. I mean, I would like to think, but I don't know if I'll see it in my lifetime.
I don't know. We might. We might. We may also be speaking Mandarin in our
Yeah,
lifetime.
but the other
Maybe.
thing is
We'll
as
be
much,
eating good. We'll be eating some
but
delicious food.
in 2025, I don't know if we're still even prepared to see um, people stranded and die on Mars.
Live streamed.
And it would
Because
be,
you know it would be, yeah.
yeah. And so,
Be live
put
streamed.
people there and have them. We lost contact with the whatever of
Because
the
you know now,
biome
I mean,
3 days ago. Like,
people are
whoa,
smart. Even if they cut the feed and everything, people are smart, dude. They'll be
yeah,
hacking that stuff and have that right back up.
yeah. And so, but the same thing in the moon.
Mm.
If we have a moon base or whatever, we lost the feed to the moon base today. Like, what? But then you're gonna have people with like super telescopes. I mean,
Yeah, literally.
looking at that shit, like, what's going on? Where are they? They're
That
waving
could be
back.
one of our next episodes we do. We need to talk about strange government programs because there's a giant telescope in I think Alaska or somewhere. It's called Satan or something. You ever hear that?
No.
I'm pretty
Is
sure.
it is it a radio telescope or an actual like
I'm gonna
lens
look it up.
telescope?
Hold on.
Satan
Giant,
telescope?
I
Hold
think it
on.
is.
Let me
Giant. I'm sitting here spreading disinfo on the internet.
You're doing something. Satan telescope. Hold on.
I think it's that. Lucifer. It's called Lucifer,
What?
which is Satan's name. You know, that is him, the fallen angel.
Lucifer telescope, Arizona.
It is Arizona. I knew it started with an A. I said
There's one
Alaska,
right here. It says
Arizona.
Lucifer telescope, Vatican.
Oh my God, jeez Louise. That would be a fun thing to talk
So
about.
why is this thing? Does the Vatican fact check? Yes. Does the Vatican own a telescope? Yeah. The Lucifer, now called Lucy.
I bet it is.
Yeah. But anyway, it is an actual telescope. Okay.
Isn't that weird? Why would you name it after the fallen angel from heaven? You know what I mean? There's
Because
some
it's
weird
okay.
stuff with it.
Lucifer is not the actual name. Is my guess. My guess is it's the large whatever whatever whatever, and an acronym is Lucifer, or that's what people call
It's
it.
not called Satan. It's called
Oh,
Satan. It's
hold on,
different. It's different. Oh,
hold
okay.
on. Let
Cool.
me see
There's
here.
nothing to see here, guys. Don't worry about it.
Why is it called Lucifer?
Why is it in the shape of a pentagram? Well, yeah, see,
Hold on.
just a coincidence. It's okay, it's all right. Nothing to see here, folks.
I don't know
So,
why it's called Lucifer. I'll figure that out. But anyway, um,
but
what were you
weird,
saying about it?
like weird things, weird
Oh, the
government
government.
program names, right? Like that, the tunnel in Europe that they built underground that had like a weird, like, Hindu idol. They were all dancing and drinking around after they got done. That's dude, look that up. That'll be next
Wait,
episode.
are we gonna get into like MK Ultra and stuff too, or
Yeah,
what?
let's do it. Let's talk about just weird stuff, man.
There's, I don't want somebody knocking on my door, but
I mean, like not the deep stuff,
the
but
people in Azerbaijan will come and get us.
as
Uh,
a teaser for a potential future episode, there's a tunnel they dug under, I don't know, Europe somewhere, Norway, Sweden, whatever the heck it is. And I think to celebrate like digging through it, they had this weird like the week before they dug through, they're all partying and stuff, and there's this weird like gold Hindu god thing they had outside. It's just bizarre. It's
some
just
big idol.
bizarre, man. It's just bizarre.
We'll have to look that one up. But yeah, I mean, it's. I don't trust the government. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff they've done. You know, when you look at MK Ultra and all the other crap that's out there. Yeah, I don't trust most of it. I don't trust it. What are you looking up? You looking up
Trying to
your
see if I can
weird
see a picture of it.
tunnel god Hindu thing?
Yeah. I'm on a conspiracy.
You need to run a second monitor, Matt. Come
I know. Well, I had to turn them all in. I don't have them anymore.
on. Let's go buy
I don't
some
know.
cheap Walmart TVs.
I'm gonna go to Costco and get me a Costco
Yeah,
one for when I start grad school.
big curve
Yay!
one.
Yeah.
You know, there's like 127 bucks, I think. But no, but we'll wrap up here. But yeah, I think Mars is it's got potential, but it's going to have
hmm
to be well played out. We got some hurdles to get to. Yeah.
I think we did have potential structures or existence there,
Oh yeah.
and time will tell.
Yeah. I
I'm gonna
think
call
that
it now. Time will tell.
yeah, I think most definitely there was life there. If there is
hmm
still some life there of some sort, it may be microscopic, right? Maybe bacteria and whatever, but I would say that there was probably some form of intelligent life there at one point in time, and
It's
I
all
would say
fun and
there's
games
probably
until they stumble across
structure.
an alien katana, like a Japanese
Could
katana,
you imagine if you found that and you're
Nippon
like, oh
steel.
crap, and then they come out just
Holy
like
smokes!
just got like multiples, and they're coming after you, and they have a sword in each 8 arms and stuff.
Eight-armed aliens with Lord of the Rings TM
Yep,
registered like swords and stuff.
coming for you.
Whoa!
Yeah, you better hope you got that ring.
Oh my
But
god!
no, we'll leave it there, and we'll wrap up for now. But no, yeah, until next time. And it was a good
All
time.
right,
So hopefully everybody in Azerbaijan likes, follows, and subscribes. Hit that
smash that
button,
like button, subscribe.
click that bell. Yeah, all four of you. But nope, have a great night, and we will catch you later.